It is my honor to say a few introductory words for this project that we have together with our dear colleagues from Spain, and that I can say that we are very proud of this cooperation. And I'd like to start this seminar with the strong wish that this atmosphere is possible for the next of our meetings, because this year, unfortunately, we can only contact online and via internet. But however, so I'm very hopeful that this will end very soon. And let me just pay your attention to our project that we currently run on our Faculty of Law in Maribor. And of course, I know that the main purpose of today's meeting is trying to enforce. And of course, we are also very glad to have the lawyers, the advocates, and the other interested public with us today. But of course, we are also glad that this group of people, that we are not just connected in this training project, but that we are together in the research project, Diversity of Enforcement Titles in Cross-Border Debt Collection in the EU. And of course, I hope that we will be able to cooperate also in the next one that we start next year in June. DigiGas, this is about digitalization in judiciary in cross-border relations. To concern about European Union in these difficult days, what is actually European reality? We know that it's not so simple as it should be, that we had divorce with UK, and that we have to reconsider how to proceed this integration. And of course, we have this white paper signed in Rome 2017. And of course, the strong will to continue together. But today, we have to concern not just freedoms and euro area, currency area, that we need to decide much more together across all policies. And one of the main is certainly the European health integration, the health union. So we need to take care how to guarantee the necessary environment for European citizens to continue living in health environment. We need to protect environment with all common forces. But for today, let's talk about the future of European civil procedure. What are the perspectives? And of course, one important issue every time we deal with our project is the enforcement of cross-border rights. And this is complicated by the huge differences in civil procedure in different countries and legal practices. But harmonization of civil procedure within the European Union was by now gradually reach certain solid level to facilitate the access to civil justice. And certainly we started with the regime on jurisdiction. And so for us important are the goals, how to facilitate recognition and enforcement with these twin regulations. On the other hand, we cannot overlook that judicial cooperation in civil matters is often ad hoc and lacks more determined willingness to act of the member states. So we need to know more about each other, and that we need to develop trust. That trust is not something that can be just set as imperative in regulations, but it has to be earned. It has to be developed by mutual understanding. So in practice, there are still many hidden reservations in implementing European civil procedure. But to be very optimistic, let me pay your attention to cross-border dispute implications. So I think that we can just say that the main instrument is Brussels 1A regulation, that it was reset and renewed in 2012. However, the first step, simplification of exequatur, was Brussels Regulation 44. And the second step, abolition of exequatur, is important facilitation that was set in Brussels 2A for family matters, and European Enforcement Order, Regulation 805, European Order for Payment Procedure, today's regulation, small claims procedure. And of course, so the third step is regulation Brussels 1 recast, abolition of exequatur in civil and commercial matters. And of course, the first pilot project was European Enforcement Order, Regulation 805. Type of matters, civil and commercial, within Brussels 1, type of the decision or the document, judgments, decrees, attempting instruments, and special requirements that also were set for this regulation. Just uncontested claims and minimum standards that needs to be met if the passive judgment is to be certified as European Enforcement Order, and just pecuniary claims. But let me tell that recently we've finished the study on European Enforcement Order regulation, guided by European Commission and carried out by Deloitte in Brussels. And Slovenia and Maribor Law School participated in this study. And what was the issue is that many of participants were very suspicious in the results of these regulations, so that this regulation probably is not does not develop the expected results. But however, I see that it's still simplification with regards to Brussels 1.8 abolishing exequatur. So we can remain using this, but what is probably the problem that it's not used in the manner that we should promote it more for the traffic of cross-border claims. But let's say a few words on twin regulations. That is next step after this European transnational enforcement title. But this is European Order for Payment Procedure and Small Claims Procedures. Here we got unified procedures for civil and commercial matters in cross-border cases. And of course, this transnational procedure from the beginning guarantees direct access to enforcement in all member states, not a substitute to a national summary payment order or small claims procedures, but offers the supplementary choice to creditor. And judgment in small claims procedures is immediately enforceable before no special certificate of enforceability is provided. So these are main characteristics of this new step. However, so we can see the differences between unified and national payment order procedure. For example, we then give the hard time to the creditor to decide between different options. But to say that what is the main difference in Slovenia, you know, the participants, that payment order under our Civil Procedure Act is first of all has to be also equipped by a credible document, and the transnational procedure doesn't require any documents, and that we have now a more simplified option if we want to offer it also to a foreign creditor having a procedure in Slovenia where probably the debtor is situated. So electronic manipulation in domestic procedure for enforcement on the ground of attesting instruments is also a very good option for the creditor. But however, so we are trying to develop the same platform also for the European payment order procedure. So if we have this multiple choice, so there are sometimes also another option possibility to start a lawsuit by the procedure of small claims. And here you can see that the creditor can have national procedure or transnational procedure. There are so many options. But let's see statistics that are also not fresh. The statistics are just available for 2009 to 2012. You see that very few cases were developed in Slovenia for European payment order and for small claims. And I haven't found new cases. So I asked our colleagues, judges, and there are non-new cases. So you see, the training is so necessary to start using these good options in transnational procedures. Just for the end, let me share with you one case that is very simplified, but it was the case at Slovenia court. A Slovenian company, Dutch citizens, in the amount of euro 2,500 for 5 days. Upon the return was not the Dutch party never agreed to pay price as he claimed time of the that he failed at Slovenian court on the basis of this small claims regulation in the European procedure, the lawsuit for the payment of 1,100 euros together with interest and costs of the procedures. After the company received the lawsuit, it filed a counterclaim with the claim in the amount of 2,500 with interest and costs of the procedure from this lease agreement. What can Slovenian courts do? And Slovenian court, of course, needs to decide now if in this small claims procedure the counterclaim was possible, was acceptable. And of course, the value never exceeded the value for small claims, and so the jurisdiction is given, and for this is used Brussels 1A to find the jurisdiction of Slovenian court. So you see, just for very simplified, but the simplified case, but with many questions. However, so the cornerstone of policy in the area of European judicial cooperation in civil and commercial matters is trust. And mutual recognition indeed is unconditionally, but the reservation are the obstacles that push sometimes the judges and enforcement agents in delay. However, so I just want to proceed to conclusions. So European regulatory activities will range from the coordination of national procedures to the enactment of self-standing procedures. We can agree with Professor Burkhardt-Hess that the practical impact of the European institutions are still unsatisfactory. In this respect, the European lawmakers should more focus on rules, minimum standards, and self-standing procedures, but with regard to judicial systems of the European member states. Implementing the legislations of member states is an important tool to improve and to promote impact of the European instruments. But however, for the judges and for judiciary, duplicative sets of procedural rules create a heavy burden on to everybody who have to work with them.